It's Hometowns Week. Chock, Guy, Jordan, and Pascal's friends and families meet Joan. Not much happened, but I enjoyed meeting Guy's and Pascal's super attractive adult sons. You are watching Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Recap, and we're discussing and dissecting The Golden Bachelorette Season 1, starring widow Joan Vassos. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Tiffany Current.
Be sure to subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel so that you don't miss weekly episodes of Romance Recap only on YouTube. Tiffany.
Yes.
How attractive are Guy and Pascal's sons, and do you think they will be future Bachelorette suitors?
Guy's sons, I think, were just okay. One of them I noted did not want to be there. He's like, why am I on television? It was Hank, I believe.
Yes.
But Pascal's son was very cute. Young, but very cute. Yes.
Yes. I think that they are going to be on future Bachelorette shows.
I think you could be right.
Yeah.
I think at least Guy's son had a lot of talking time.
Right. I think they were giving him time for a reason. Yeah. I wrote notes, but they really, not a lot actually happened. Or do you think that I missed something?
Not that much happened, but let's dive in with Guy's date. I was trying to take notes, but I'm like, what am I taking notes of? Nothing is happening.
I know.
He's clearly into her. They're riding on a boat through Lake Tahoe. They throw some rocks in the water, whatever. Let's get to his house. They get there, and I was like, why does everyone's name start with a G? Everyone started with a G. It was like Greer, Guy, Gary.
First of all, I just want to introduce everyone. We have Gary, Greg, Gwen, Gail, Greer, Mackenzie, Idan, Marty, Glenn, and Hank.
There's too many G's. I was like, what is happening with this family? What is happening? Everyone was excited to see Guy happy, and that made me nervous. That was my takeaway from the home date. I got worried for Guy.
I think the guy probably loves her. I can see that she brought something out in him that he needed so desperately.
It was so nice meeting everybody.
Guy deserves to be happy, and I hope and pray that Joan would fall in love with him also.
Mackenzie, his daughter, is like, I'm concerned. And I was like, whoa, everyone is concerned for Guy. And it just made me realize, I know that we've heard about his story in regards to there were some issues with his ex-wife and how that ended. It made me concerned for his mental state if this doesn't go well. And it was like one of those things, like before I was concerned about Jonathan, the hot Jonathan, because I'm like, oh, he's going to take it to heart when she says no and picks Chock. Yeah. Now I'm really concerned about Guy. And it's like, we've got to be careful about this one.
I agree.
On the edge.
I think that's what was so disconcerting is everyone expressed concern, his sons, the daughter, the sister, for him because he's been through a lot with his divorce, a messy divorce. And there was a restraining order situation that his ex-wife put out on him, but then they talked it out and she removed it or, recanted her statement.
Yeah.
It seems as if he feels very deeply and, to the point that it's unhealthy perhaps for him when there's a breakup situation. I don't know, but it did feel like everyone was walking on eggshells a little bit.
I know.
Like, oh, I hope this works out for you, Dad, because otherwise, oh boy.
It was an uncomfortable date for me, like as it went along, and I was like, oh goodness, I that's why I'd hoped that, spoiler alert, that she'd get rid of him. And I was like, I hope you get rid of him because I don't think you're going to work out, and just let him loose because he's very emotional. And that was Guy. It was not my favorite date. Nice person, but
yeah, it wasn't. I mean, and she really likes him. She says he embodies everything that I'm looking for. He's caring, a great listener. But she already mentioned earlier in this episode, she isn't in love with anyone yet.
It's been an intense several weeks, but it's also given me time to reflect and say, that I've fallen for you big time, really fallen for you.
After that date, I felt like she couldn't wait to get out of there.
I think she was like, thank goodness I'm going to Chicago. And I was excited because we got to see Pascal and I wanted to see his life. I wanted to meet his children and his friends, and he did not disappoint. Like, he did not disappoint.
Pascal fills my heart with joy. Seeing him in his element, first of all, working for him must be a hoot. All the women, unless they're all great actors, or if maybe they are actors, but all the women came running to him who work at his salon when he walked in. Like, he's got such a big personality, but he also has a very big heart.
Yes, there's so much love there. And he looks like he's actively trying to serve people to make them happy. Like
Yeah.
even like when he was putting on whatever it was, I guess the salon robe or something over Joan very carefully. He said, "Don't worry, I'm not trying to be fresh." She's like, "Oh, be fresh." But even then he was being professional. He's like, "I'm being professional. I'm trying to make sure you're being comfortable. I'm bringing you wine."
I'm not trying to be fresh, but here I am. Okay.
You can be fresh. So you do this to all the clients?
Every client.
Seeing him in his natural element is very sexy.
It was very sweet. I liked him.
I did, but I agree. The only thing that was kind of interesting is he says he does that for all his clients, where he puts
Yes.
on their cape/robe when they
Yeah,
get
he
their hair
ties it
done.
for them. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
But he has, because he has to put his arms around their waist. He's behind them. So basically
You know what?
his D is in their backside.
That's
while
why
he's
he has so much business. That's why he has so much. That's
Maybe
why
it is.
it was filled with women, and they were full of joy because they're like, "He touched me. That made my morning." And so I get it. If that's his thing,
He gives them a
I
little
would,
baguette, or
I
maybe a
would,
big baguette in
I
the
would take the
backside, baguette. And I'm like, I mean, interesting. But he didn't ask her permission before he did it. As he was doing it, he's like, "Oh, I'm not getting fresh." It's like, well, maybe you should have asked for
Yeah.
consent before wrapping your arms and giving her
But she
the
gave
baguette.
it, and she asked for it. She's like, "Oh, please get fresh." I was like, "Look at Joan." She's like, "This is a breath of fresh air." She enjoyed his company.
She did, and she mentioned a number of times during this episode how sexy he is, and that
Yes.
he reminds her of her late husband John in that he's big and fun. Like he has a big personality, he's fun, he's just
Yeah.
epic.
Pascal does remind me a little bit of John. John made everything big and epic and fun. That is attractive to me. I mean, it was attractive to me, 40 years ago, and it still is.
Did you notice the part where when they first started their date, before he
Yeah.
brought her to the salon, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to bring you to the salon." He goes, she's like, "Oh, you're going to be in charge. How does that feel? Because you're going to be taking me on a date."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I like to be in charge." Wait,
I wrote
he goes,
that down.
"I
I
like
wrote
to be
that.
in charge."
I can
I was
actually
like,
see him
"Whoa."
living his life like that, and I believed him.
I thought that was sexy. I like to
That
be
was
in charge.
sexy.
So I'm gonna take you to my salon later on, and then you're gonna meet my children. I'm so excited. Yeah. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm in charge today. I'm the one to take you.
How do you feel about that?
I like to be in charge.
He got in his car, he drove fast, he likes fast cars.
Yeah.
Then we go to see him with his family, and what a delight. What a like these regular people. I don't know if I was expecting like Europeans, but all very like regular people. His children are regular people. I couldn't quite tell how many kids he had. Was it 2 or 3? Was that other girl his daughter? The younger one?
Yes.
I had no idea.
He had 2 daughters and a son, an
Okay.
older daughter, a younger daughter, and a son. I'm guessing the son's in the middle. I'm guessing.
I don't know, but
What
yeah.
was interesting is, oh, maybe I'm skipping ahead. Well, we could go.
Yeah.
Because
Good.
the next thing I have in my notes is he mentions when he sits down with Joan after she meets, the kids, they have a little bit of private time. And he said that he's had his heart broken. And I thought they were going to reveal information because the daughter expressed a little bit of concern for the dad because he's had his heart broken. Was he in a relationship that she broke his heart or something? I didn't.
It sounds like he was recently in a relationship where he got hurt.
Okay.
And that was right after that, I think his daughter signed him up for the show.
Yeah.
But what I appreciated is that he talked about it. He said, "This is what's happening. This is why I'm sometimes a little guarded." But he said, "I would like a companion." I wrote it down. He used the word companion, and I thought, how cute.
Yeah.
But he wants somebody by his side. So he said that he is self-aware and he's acknowledging what his issue is, but still says, "I'm hoping to make something happen." So I like that about him.
I thought he was very open in this episode, which seemed to have satisfied Joan. I thought it was interesting that Joan has a conversation with Maxim or his son.
Yeah.
I think his name is Maxim.
She was asking, I think, inappropriate questions, but that's just.
Yeah, I thought some of the question she asked was a bit much for someone who's, I don't know, what's he, a 20, 21-year-old son?
19? Yeah, I was like, you're asking if he had lots of girlfriends? Don't ask your son
but he
that. He's
said
not 35.
Has he had a lot of girlfriends?
He has had a lot of girlfriends.
Yeah. So you think he's ready for to settle down?
100%. I mean, he's so sick of dating. I mean, he complains to me. It's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sick of dating. I just want to find that one." And I'm hoping it will be you.
Come on, we all know he's had a lot of girlfriends,
Yes,
maybe
he
even some
has to.
boyfriends.
That's-
So it's like, Joan, come on, why are you asking?
Yeah,
But
you know the answer. Yes.
yeah. Also, like, what does that matter? What was in
What
his
does it matter?
past? It's only matters what he's looking for now,
I like how Maxim's like, well, yeah, he's like lots of girls. He's just very like, well, yeah, he has. He's like, but he's tired of it. I like his very matter of fact.
Yeah.
I liked that. I like seeing Pascal talk to his son. And then once again, Pascal starts crying as he's talking to his son because he's like, it was Father's Day on your card. And I like seeing Pascal get emotional. He's a pretty crier.
He's a sexy crier. I'm gonna
He's
say.
a sexy crier.
He mentioned again that Father's Day was the day he left to go on the show. So I guess they must have started filming in June. When he first met Joan, he showed her the Father's Day card. So we kind of came full circle where we, saw him show her the card, and then he referred to it when he said to the son, oh, how much it meant to him. And they started crying. And there's a lot of love between, him and his kids.
I thought the grandkid was super cute, and his question about did you sleep with other grandparents? Cute kid.
Did you sleep in like a bed just full of other grandpas?
I was like, I don't want to see children on the show anymore. I feel like it's inappropriate. I feel like we're taking advantage. Very cute kid. But I was like, come on, guys. The kid doesn't actually have permission to be on the show. I mean, he doesn't need to be on TV. That's just my perspective.
Do you have any grandkids?
I have 3 of them. Little
nice.
One of them is 4 years old, and he said, don't kiss any boys. Isn't that funny?
Have you kissed my grandpa?
Okay, I did. I know. It's embarrassing, I know.
They're being fed questions. You really think that kid wanted to know, did you kiss my grandpa? Grandpa, are you sleeping in a room with other grandpas? And
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, did you bring me home a gift? That's all he cares about. He's not asking any stupid questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's really appropriate in to have the kids on. Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was a successful date. She's like, I'm not sure if he'll pick me. I'm like, Joan, whatevs. But it's like, I thought it was a successful date in general. Even though he mentioned he might have walls, he was just being honest, but I thought it went very well.
Not to skip ahead, but it seems as if Joan is bothered by the fact that 2 of her suitors don't appear there yet, where they're feeling deep feelings. So I feel like even though it was successful, it still bothered her because she feels that he's taking things slow and he's being very cautious. Whereas Guy and Chock are the opposite. They're effusive with their feelings. Jordan and Pascal, not so much. Not as much. Although I think Pascal
not as much.
Pretty, he does it in his own way.
He does it in his own way. Let's get to Jordan and Joan. Did you notice this? When they're getting deep dish pizza and then they have cake, they cut to like, I don't know, like a long shot of him, and you could see his penis in his pants. Did you see that?
What?
I noticed, not in that scene.
Yes.
But when they first met and they were walking to Lou Malnati pizza place, I noticed some tightness in the pants.
I got a big Jordan day planned.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't notice it with the cake, but I noticed it in that first scene. I said, oh, Liz, you're just making stuff up. But being used to that, it's very prominent. And there was some more pants action from Jordan later on in the date.
It was very prominent. I noticed it. I was like, there's like a button. It's right there. I don't know.
There's a button.
It was a note. It was
a lever. It was a lever.
It was something. It was too much for me. So we go from there to meet Jordan's family. You have his brothers and his children, and they, of course, go back through the ice skating date where he falls down, and Jordan in front of Joan, in front of his family, is like, in 2 weeks I'm supposed to propose and say I love you. He's like, that just feels very fast. What I thought was funny is he said that right in front of Joan. So good for him.
In 2 weeks' time is when this proposal comes at this point. So it's it's a pretty rushed, condensed, courtship relationship. So
he's just like, in 2 weeks I'm supposed to do this. He's like, that's crazy.
Which obviously raises alarm bells for Joan. Yeah. But again, he's being reasonable. He also had a divorce that I don't think was necessarily messy, but extremely heartbreaking. Yes. I believe Jordan was the one he and his wife were having issues, and then
Maybe
she
she
had
cheated
an
on him, I
affair,
think.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's very evident from this episode, based on the conversations that Joan has with the daughters have with Jordan, that he's taking it very slow.
If the bar is for me to tell you I love you and be engaged in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be there. I'm not there yet.
Don't even ask. I'm not sure if he'll pick me.
Your father is the one that I worry about that maybe he wouldn't pick me.
His daughter was like, I understand when he'd say that because, yeah, he moves very slow. And I got that from the date too. It was more like, it seems like they like each other, but they won't necessarily go down that path.
Yeah.
At the very end, they do kiss again. So it does seem very easy, but I don't necessarily feel that like deep connection there.
Yeah, I think there's like a chemistry for sure, because when they kiss, like
he gives her the tongue. That's
yeah,
true.
he gives her the tongue. He gives her the snake.
I saw it again.
Yeah.
I saw it again. I'm like, there it is. There's that tongue, man.
I get the impression he's a very sexual person. I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Maybe,
Based on the tongue and the pants,
Yeah.
that could be the dead giveaway. It's very possible. I mean, look, it is what it is. We find out later it's not going to work out. Let's move on to Chock. We get to Kansas. They do a run up, not a run jump, but a run hug. So I thought that was of note. That was the first run hug that we saw.
Chock really did look like Patrick Duffy. I never denied what you said was true, but he really looked it.
In that element of like dust and like dirt and I don't know, cowboyishness, I saw it so much.
Yes, I did. He was so
in that shirt too.
The shirt,
everything.
like how he was dressed, like the way he carried himself. So they meet at Chock's friend's ranch, which again, like the show Dallas that Patrick Duffy starred on. Yeah.
And then there's randomly this big gathering on the water.
So what's interesting is that this gathering, the purpose of it is to celebrate the life of his departed mother, who, passed on a few episodes ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And they gather around this pile of dirt that I immediately thought, oh my God, is that where she's buried?
I didn't think that.
I thought that immediately. And then they said they were going to plant a tree. So it was a very somber, emotional moment.
It was crazy.
Essentially, the hometowns was a memorial service.
Yes, it was weird.
And Joan got to shovel some dirt. They each took a shovel with dirt and planted a tree in honor of Chock's mom.
I don't know. It was slightly strange. Sweet, I guess, kind of. But I don't know.
Do you think that was a producer idea?
I couldn't figure it out. It could have been Chock. Chock is really into his mom. So it's possible. And maybe that was his way for him to introduce his mom to this potential
That's
love.
what I think it was. And then Joan, I think said something along
She said something. Well, you have to.
Till you live on forever.
I don't think I would have. Would you have said something? This is the first time
Absolutely. Absolutely, you say something.
What would you have said?
I would have said I wish I could have known you. That simple. At some point we see Joan with the children. I think it went well.
He has two kids that look like they're teens or something.
They look like they're teens. I don't know if they are, but they looked, I know. I was like, are they 17? I was shocked by the age too. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I was, because he's 60. I'm guessing he had them around 40. And for some reason, I thought he was married to his first wife for a long, long time. I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was of note. Kathy's dad, Tom, is that what his name was? Tom?
That's what I was going to mention. Yes. So Kathy
liked him.
He was such a sweet man. I think it says a lot about Chock that he invited the father of his former fiance who passed away to give his blessing and be part of all of this. Like, he's still a part of Chock's life.
I like the dad. At some point he says to Joan, "Your family if you want to be." And I was like, you know what? I like this guy. Very matter of fact, if you want to be family, you're family.
Your family if you want to be.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was good.
Very sweet man. And then we also met Chock's dad as well.
Chock asked, how much do you think she cares for me?
How much do you think she cares for me? There's no question. I think you're in love.
All right.
I thought that was weird because I feel like he and Joan have been very open with each other about how they feel. Although
maybe he doesn't believe it.
She. Yeah.
That is true. He's been very open, saying, I'm wild about you, this, that, and the other. And she's been a little bit more close with it. So I can understand why, because if he is expressing this emotion he hasn't expressed in a long time, and she's being guarded, then maybe I get it. And she's also dating these other people, so.
She's going to pick Chock.
Yeah, she has to pick Chock.
She's
If she doesn't
gonna
pick
pick
Chock, I
Chock.
don't know what she's thinking. Other than Pascal, who's just like fun. That's just a good lover. He's a good lover for a couple
Maybe
years.
that's what she should be looking for, because she's
Yeah.
still, if she's still in love with her husband John, and that's perfectly okay. If your heart is still 100% committed to him, then just have fun with Pascal.
Pascal's perfect. He
Just
wants a
have a lover.
companion. Yeah, he can be your companion. Let's dive past this date.
I've had a great time at these hometowns. I mean, I really truly did. I feel like connections are growing. I just feel like I'm in a funk today, and I'm not like very confident with some of the relationships. It's very unsettling. I have two that are very committed. That's Guy and Chock. And I have both Pascal and Jordan, who have been very non-committal.
Let's get to the final showdown of who got the rose. Were you surprised?
No, because right before they announced it, I wrote down who I thought the roses were going to go to and who wasn't going to get the rose, and I was right. So the suitors who received roses from Joan are Chock, Guy, Pascal. Jordan, it was nice knowing you.
Yeah, that was it. And they handled it very well. She walked him out like, you know what, this was fun. He's like, yeah, it was fun. So it's very much like a friendship, like, you know, just brushing off his shoulder. That was it. And that's all that it was, which is, you know,
yeah, I mean,
that's fine.
There really wasn't much to say, because I never felt like their relationship got as deep as she was with like Jonathan and walked him out and they had a meaningful goodbye.
What I liked is that when Pascal got the rose, she said, will you accept this rose? He's like, sure. He said, sure. I wrote that specific. He's like, yeah, sure.
Pascal, you accept this rose?
Sure. I was like, Pascal.
I know that too, yeah.
I don't even, he's so funny to me. All I know is at the end is I still feel worried for Guy. I was like, I'm worried for Guy. We saw that they're going to Tahiti. I wrote one thing down that I had to call out for you. At one point, Chock said, Joan plus me plus Tahiti means she better accept my engagement. Did you hear him say that?
Oh, I heard him say it. I was so annoyed by that comment. I didn't even write it down because I'm like, oh, please, you're such a tool.
Joan plus me plus Tahiti means she better accept my engagement.
I'm like, Liz probably saw red warning signs again when he said that.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, he sounded dangerous. He sounded dangerous. He sounded like he might potentially like either stalk her or ruin her life if she does not fall in line and do what he wants.
It was intense.
Of course, we know they're gonna end up together. The question is, are they still together?
I'm curious now. I don't know. I think she should pick Chock unless she doesn't want like a lasting thing. Then Pascal, which we both said from week one, like there's no way he's gonna make it. There's no way, because he's just a fun, sexy French guy.
Yeah.
And to see him this far, I get it, and maybe that's what she needs.
Well, that's all we got for you. Tiffany and I are taking a brief hiatus. Tune into Romance Recap in 2.5 weeks when we discuss The Golden Bachelorette, weeks 7 and 8. Stay golden, friends.